Right, this week's Street Talk, Gemma. I thought it was all right week this week in Corrie. Nothing brilliantly amazing, but I think there's going to be enough to talk about. And, I'm just on cloud nine because Fizz is back at number 9.
Fizz is back.
I think I'm probably like just the most excited Corrie person out there. That I've got an unreasonable like for Fizz.
How could you say it's unreasonable if you're such a fan?
I don't know. I just think Fizz is a really solid, lovely, wonderful character who I have dearly missed. And I'm really, really chuffed to see her back again this week. And it seems like they, has she got a story that she's coming back to? There's a bit of an argument between Cassie and Evelyn about who's going to live where, but that's kind of blown over. She's talking about wanting to get a job that, that's higher than what she's been.
Befits her current status as a genius of business and industry.
Yeah, honestly, I think a part of the thing is just the family and the fact that I think we were talking about it the other day off air, weren't we? We occasionally talk about Corrie when we haven't got a microphone in front of us, and we were saying about how few standard-ish kind of 2.4 family children, even though they're not clearly, but they're the closest Corrie's got to it. Families there are.
Because our friend was asking us about who's related to whom, we basically realised that I don't think there's a single family, and we tried to work it out apart from the Baileys, but that's not the case anymore.
No,
where the mum and the dad live with their children.
Yeah, because our friend Rachel comes around and watches Corrie with us every Monday, and we're still explaining bits to her, and she's like, right, yeah, Fizz, she's back. She's the daughter, she's the mum of Hope there, and she's married to Tyrone, but yeah, very good. But I just love that there's a proper family dynamic in that house, and I'm hopeful that they're going to be able to give her they've got a big story for her to go back into. But just happy to have her there. Now, are you ready for some storyline titles for this week? I've got a good one for the Adam story.
I'm quite pleased with this one.
I'm not showing you the notes. I'm going to just lay this one on you without any preparation. So, Damon is going after Adam this week, isn't he? We drove a car at him and he's got to watch his back.
That happened,
yeah. So, storyline title for this week, Targeted Ad. I got a cursory chuckle from that. I thought that was good. I like that one. I don't care if it was maybe going after Sarah Louise or Bethany, but Targeted Ads it is.
That's quite good, yeah. Well
done. I think that's probably not necessarily the main story this week. The A story was the Leave Me Alone story, which ran all week, and plenty of characters involved. It wasn't just focusing on just Liam or just Dylan. Everybody was involved. Feels like, I don't know, is it coming to a climax?
No.
Maybe not, is it? Maybe it isn't, but I enjoyed that. And I still think Sean is wonderful. Bolton Wanderer is the Lauren away. See, that's still getting a bit of a smile from Gemma.
Like that one. She's
wandering off somewhere. Or has she been stolen away? Or has she been killed by Roy and there's a bloodstain on the carpet from when he bludgeoned her to death and he's just had a bit... Maybe he sleep killed her.
Could have sleep killed her.
I hadn't even thought of that before.
Ooh.
The things that Roy gets up to when he's doing his sleepwalking.
Where does I talk about this? I talked about this not that long ago. I don't remember who I said it to, or if I said it on the podcast. I need to stop talking about Coronation Street and I'm not doing recording. But really, he's got a long violent streak, hasn't he?
Oh yeah, you were saying, he did his set the boat on fire accidentally a few years ago.
He beat Gary with a baseball bat.
Yeah, but he wants to sleep there.
Yeah, I know, but he was awake. That makes it worse. And he did something else, I forgot what it was.
I don't know, but maybe one day he was getting so worried about whatever they was worrying about that he, in the middle of the night, he got up, went downstairs, walked to the precinct, wherever that is, and bumped off Lauren.
I mean, yeah, but...
That would be a great twist.
He could have done it awake if she'd, I don't know, disparaged bats.
Do you reckon? I think not. But the finger of suspicion is most certainly going to be pointing towards him next week, if it isn't doing already. I mean, so far, Bobby has managed to turn not just the viewers against him, but also the whole street in with his Roy slandering today.
I hate this because you know that they're trying to make us feel bad for him.
For who?
Bobby. Oh, everyone hates him. It's so sad. It's not his fault. Sometimes people are hated for a reason.
It's hard because Bobby is new. He doesn't know that Roy is a legacy character.
No,
he doesn't understand that he's been on the show for 30 odd years and he's held a very high esteem and that he's a bastion of the community. All he sees is this girl that finally managed to he was able to wear down with his relentless pursuit, and she is maybe about to, get his end away with her or something, and then she bogs off. So no wonder he's frustrated, and he's just looking for somebody to pin the blame on. And on paper, Roy seems like to someone who's an outsider, a possible suspect.
Well, let's talk about it more in a minute.
We'll do the late return fees story after that. Now that gets a roll of the eyes. The Papa Dom story returns. Oh, hooray!
Oh, I mean, hooray for the storyline title, but not for any of the content of it.
I'd almost forgotten.
What happened?
I'd almost forgotten that this story existed. It's been so long.
We thought we got rid of him.
Yeah, no, he's back. He's back from Deutschland. And, oh my gosh.
He's such a flip-flopper.
It's been like 8 weeks since that story has been on. So probably people have forgotten what's been going on that. And I don't know how much we can... Don't know how much we can enlighten you tonight, because I've not really been looking into it. But, that... that story just stands out as being completely compartmentalised. And anyway, we'll just cut away from the action for the time being to see what Stu and Dom are up to. Honestly, it's like... I know it's... Could they have finished it? Could they have just said, people don't want to know what's going to happen there? Oh, blimey. Let's hope that this isn't a lengthy return for this story. We had a little bit of the they think it's all over story with Steve and Tim, which I actually quite appreciated. The which football team should Steve support side story on Monday. You never know what's going to hit and what's going to miss with me. But yeah, I thought that was quite fun. To me, that felt a bit like an old school Corrie kind of caper. You know how back in the 70s you'd have this is the episode where Stan and Eddie get up to such and such, or this is the episode where, that kind of thing. The one where blah, blah, blah. And this episode felt, in a way, a bit like the one where Steve can't decide which football team to support,
Yeah.
There was also a little bit of the Ryan story as well. He's back, he's bonking Daisy, and anyway, that was Monday. Do you want to do the targeted ad story, Gemma? Leave the bullying to me?
Yeah, right then.
Go on then.
Right.
Stunts ahoy.
Okay. Now... I don't think I need to remind anybody what happened on Monday, because it was so traumatic, wasn't it? Or was it Wednesday?
No, it was Monday. Oh, the crash, Monday. the smash.
I mean,
the
it's
hitting.
etched on our memories, isn't it? It's one of the most harrowing scenes Coronation Street has had. I was really worried. Were you? I thought the stunt was great.
Oh my... it was fine. It was
don't
just
put
a
it in.
standard.
Just don't bother, honestly. What's the point?
Stop hitting people with cars, Coronation Street.
It feels to me like these things get put in the show so that they can have a cover in a soap magazine and something to tweet.
Something to upload on social media to say, look how we did this. I was going to say...
Do you understand what I'm saying? It functions in no way whatsoever as an exciting thing in this plot.
But I think it could do if it didn't happen so often.
Exactly.
And I would say, and when was the last time somebody actually got killed by a car? But then I think, oh yeah, Stephen
last year. Exactly, but it was, so what? Last year somebody got run over by a car and it was more exciting, so why do it again?
It really feels like, if you're hit by a high-speed car on Coronation Street, you got a very low chance of even spending overnight in hospital, to be honest. Although, I suppose to describe what we saw on Monday as a high-speed car is been a little bit generous.
I'm just constantly astounded at how much speed Weatherfield drivers can get on those roads where there's literally nowhere to go. I'm surprised he didn't end up in the middle of Hayes Travel.
No, he's going the other direction. He was heading towards the brewery.
Oh, okay.
Heading towards Nuttles there.
Straight through the doors. Right.
Anyway,
I'm just
build up to it.
So Sarah comes to visit Adam in the office and he's a bit calmer today, but she gets out the divorce papers for him to sign and he looks very regretful. But then what's she do this for? She says, oh, we got married 4 years ago today. This is when Rachel said, oh, she's celebrating by bringing him divorce papers. Yeah. Yes, that's right. That's how the show works. Oh, what regrets and memories they have. If only Adam had more flaws, she wouldn't have felt so bad cheating on him. This was bizarre. What did she say this for? And then he says, oh, I'm not a good person. And she's like, oh, but you are. You're the best. Like, come on, please.
Anyway, divorce papers.
He's not a good person, is he? He's a grumpy old sod.
He is a bitter. Yeah, he is.
What kind of fun did you ever see Adam and Sarah having? Can you imagine sitting down with him to watch any kind of television program?
Well, there was that episode where she's laying seductively on the sofa with her legs akimbo and very little on. I think that was about to be some
then,
fun.
Were they? But can you imagine just sitting down and watching telly with Adam? What do you think he watches? He probably watches live streams of salmon swimming up streams in Scotland, beating themselves to death on the rocks.
I think he might be like a line of duty guy. I can imagine him watching gritty. I don't imagine that he and Sarah have got any overlap in the types of things they do watch, mind you. I think he's the very
secret queer eye for the straight guy.
No. He's more the kind of serious and
detective.
Yeah, and Sarah's more,
You being sexist now.
I just think that she probably is more of a Towie or Real Housewives kind of girl. Or maybe, Celebrity Big Brother. Not that there's anything wrong with that, because we did watch Monday's episode, didn't we? All right, Louis Walsh. Right. We're just as bad as Louis and Sharon, that's sitting there just criticising and judging, aren't we?
Oh, I wish I had the money, though.
Anyway.
Where's the money flowing to me? I'm as judgmental as they are. Right, so she's like, oh, Adam, you are the best. Then he's like having second thoughts because he's got this email with the CCTV footage that he's somehow managed to get, and it looks like Coronation Street wants to brush this under the carpet and us not ask questions. How did he get his hands on this footage?
Well, no, he went along to the shop, didn't he? The last
thing. But how really? Yeah, we know. Yeah, but how did he get it?
With his powers
I know
of
how
coercion.
He got it, but how did he get it? Do you see the difference?
He's a charmer, isn't he? The same way he gets the ladies. He was going to send an email off, wasn't he? With the footage in.
I was getting to this.
Yeah.
He's got this. He's deleted it now because he was going to try to what's the word? Get the appeal. Oh, I can't remember. Anyway, he wasn't emailing the footage. That was the whole point. He had the footage that he destroyed. He told Harvey he destroyed it last week, didn't he? What he was sending here was something to do with Harvey's appeal. He was like making it official, and he decides against sending the appeal. He's got the USB stick. He puts it in an envelope with a post-it note on the front saying Natasha Blakeman's murder.
Yeah, we're not explaining this very well. He's got a very special drawer in his office just for one USB stick in.
That's what makes me think he's a very boring person.
Yeah, everyone else has got interesting little knickknacks in your top drawer. I mean, I got post-it notes, I got pins, I got about 3 boxes of paper clips. It's very exciting in my drawer.
Do you think when he at night when he goes to bed, he takes his pants off and he just puts them in the bin, and then opens a brand new pack the next day because he doesn't want any stuff?
Is that the mark of a dull person?
Having no stuff at all.
What luxury? Anyway, so yeah, he was going to put the appeal out, but he has a change of heart because he realises that maybe having a convicted murderer just let loose in Weatherfield is not such a good idea. And also he didn't want Sarah to look down on him.
It's a good job that Craig is off to Celebrity Big Brother at some point, because if Craig had opened the bag that says Natasha Blakeman's murder and seen it was a man buying a chocolate in a corner shop, he would have just thrown it away.
Yeah.
Because it really doesn't make any sense.
It doesn't. It really doesn't. I don't know how...
Natasha Blakeman's murder. Well, this isn't it, is it?
No.
What the hell is this about? So, no wonder the police take so long for them to do anything. He should have written it down more concisely.
Maybe you put a little note in with it.
Well, he did, but it was too cryptic. Anyway, Harvey phones Adam up. He's furious. You're a dead man, he says, because John's told him the police are dropping the case because the CCTV's turned up to show him buying a chocolate bar exact same time he said he was murdering Natasha Blakeman. And Adam says, oh, no, it wasn't me. And Harvey didn't believe him. And he puts the phone down, and then he calls somebody else up and he says, I want someone gone today.
And the person on the other end goes, hi, Harvey, it's me. Oh, I've spoken to you on the phone for so long. You're not speaking to other people. You haven't got other phone friends, have you, Harvey?
Harvey, babes, how you doing?
Harvey's
got a better social life than I do.
You can tell he's got the guards in the prison in his pocket, because he doesn't just make phone calls all day. He does it with his door flagrantly open, doesn't he?
He's not surreptitious about it.
No. He's
He probably goes out in the corridor and goes, oi, guard, I'm just ordering pizza. Do you want anything?
Yeah.
It's going to come with a drone with a load of smack, okay? Right, so Adam goes to the flat and tries to get Sarah back. Then she completely changes her tune, doesn't she? Because earlier she's going, "Oh, Adam, if only we were still together. You're such a great guy." And
I don't know. She was just being regretful.
She's just being stupid. Well, don't.
She's just
no need for it. No need. She's such a ditz. But he's trying to get her back, and she says, "Too much water's gone under the bridge. It's too late. I'm with Damon." and he says, "I know you haven't signed the papers yet. It's never too late." I mean, it really isn't ever too late, because on Coronation Street, it's quite customary to marry the same person more than once.
Yeah,
so even if you did get divorced, it wouldn't ever be too late. Later on in Victoria Street, he's chatting.
Stunt time.
He's there. He's like, "Oh, why did we have a discussion in the middle of the road, Sarah and Bethany, about our issues?" And a car comes driving along the road, and he has enough time to push Bethany out of the way, turn and push Sarah out of the way, but he doesn't use that momentum to move himself out of the way. And he goes right over the top of the car and falls on the floor. He's breathing, but he's unconscious, and everyone's worried because they haven't read the rest of the script. Bethany's getting instructions about what to do on the phone, and they're all freaking out.
I bet the driver, couldn't believe how lucky they were. The fact that just turning up at Victoria Street, the people who they are trying to run over just so happen to walk over at the same time.
How convenient for me.
Although I wouldn't want to be in his shoes when Harvey finds out that Adam's up and walking about by the end of the day either.
But imagine if you're like driving towards this guy and he's like, it sees you first of all, and you're like, "Oh no, he's seen me. He's gonna get out of the way." And then he pushes Bethany out of the way, but he's still there, and you're thinking, "Oh, good, I can still get him." And then you think, "Oh no, he's probably going to jump the other direction." And then he pushes Sarah out of the way, and you think, "Oh, I can still get him though, because he hasn't moved." And then he just makes no attempt to save himself, and you're thinking, "This is a really good day today. I think I'm going to buy a lottery ticket."
Yeah, but I think that maybe if I were Harvey, I probably wouldn't call upon this particular hitman again. He had a clear shot, didn't he?
Could have been a hit lady.
It could have been a hit lady. Could have been Mason. We know that he's got
He's
form.
good at that, yeah. So who's this person? No one cares.
No.
The police aren't really going to investigate this. They're like, "Oh, it looked like someone did it on purpose." But that's bad, isn't it? You better watch out. Basically, that's what they say. It looks like someone did it on purpose. You better watch out. Why don't you investigate who it is and arrest them?
Yeah. Is there any CCTV on Victoria Street that might have caught that?
Well, isn't there like a network of cameras that pick up your licence plate everywhere you go?
Yeah.
Anyway,
I think we're not supposed to. As far as we know, maybe somebody was
like
caught out by it, but I'm not.
It's like the car is like the manifestation of Harvey's vengeance, and nobody was driving it. It was just his like vindictive, like powers of I don't know, what would it be? An energetic.
I didn't mind the
evilness.
stunt too much. I've seen a bit of criticism about it online. It was just a 100% bog standard Corrie car crash thing, wasn't it? I mean,
it's difficult.
Long gone are the days when Lisa Duckworth got hit by a car in, what was it, 93, and she's dead straight away there on the floor, and the driver's coming out going, "Oh my gosh, what have I done?" It's like, if somebody gets hit by a car now, I am just not in the slightest bit concerned about them. And that's not good for a programme, is it?
No.
Because they, what can they create peril with if we just so desensitise and used to this kind of thing happening?
Actually killing people.
Yeah. I mean, this is the question. Why doesn't Harvey have a goon with a gun?
Yeah.
If you're going to get somebody to drive over them, then they do have to be in the right position at the right time and have a good run up. But somebody, especially there, they could have just climbed up to the builder's yard or at the Red Bank steps or something, popped a cap in him, and job's a good one. Come on, Harvey.
What else could you have done? Drop some horrible poison in his tea or something.
Yeah.
Why not?
Dropped a piano on his head.
Yeah. Pushed him in front of a car.
I don't know. It's just
pushed him in front of a tram.
Many things, but they chose to go
Drown
to the car
him in a
route,
toilet.
and I
That
think
would have been
maybe
good.
Harvey's regretting that. But anyway, poor Adam.
Hit him. I tell you what would have been good. Hitting him over the head with Dee Dee's Rising Star Award,
I think,
which she will not get rid of.
no. Yeah, that's probably makes quite a dent, doesn't
Quite
it?
clunky.
I see.
What award was it that Stephen and
What?
Was it Peter?
Oh, yeah.
What was that?
I don't remember what award that was. It was just some...
It wasn't a Conversation Street award because only one person in the world has got a trophy.
I know. What was I going to say? I'd put Adam, he's really been in the wars the last few years, hasn't he?
You think he would have some kind
First he gets whacked
brain bleed?
Yeah, first he gets whacked by Faye in the bistro, and that was what?
Yeah.
3-4 years ago? And then just a couple of years ago he got pushed off that balcony
Yes,
by
he did.
Lydia. Like,
I thought you were going to say by an idiot.
Sam Robertson was like, have I done something wrong here? You actually trying to get rid of me? Like, I don't think there's been any other character that's had quite so much drama and
well, then they wonder why
nobody's
nobody's bothered about it. They must know no one's going to think this is... Why put it in?
No, to be fair, there was a split second where I was thinking, and I think it was just because I was hoping, not because it's Adam, but because I want to be surprised, but I was thinking, but what if? What if this moment is the start, at last, of the big story? Adam's dead, but no. I knew I shouldn't have got my hopes up. No. He's fine.
He's fine.
Yeah.
He's breathing but unconscious.
Yeah. The word spreads, doesn't it?
He gets stretched onto the ambulance. Gary and Daniel turn up. Bethany's there. She's fetched Abby, Steve and Tim from the pub.
Abby, there's some heroing that needs doing.
Sarah's going to go in the ambulance with him, and she's distraught at the hospital. She admits to Daniel and Bethany they were arguing when it happened, and Daniel jumps on this and blames her for it, but Bethany defends her and says it was in the script. Then somebody comes out and says Adam's okay, and so
he's awake.
Sarah lets Daniel and someone else go in. Ken? I don't remember who it was.
Maybe.
That she's like let them go in because she's kind of like taking a back step, isn't she? The police officer, like I said, goes to see him and says, "Oh, if that happens again, let us know, won't you? Because that could be quite a bad thing."
Yeah, somebody's out to get you.
And they're like, "Do you remember when you got pushed over the balcony? Was it a different person? Do you think it's Lydia again?" And Adam's like, "No, she's not in it anymore."
What if that is the twist, that Harvey has employed Lydia?
Hired somebody with an axe to grind against the person that you want to kill. Meanwhile, in the waiting area, Daniel apologises to Sarah for blaming her and says that I should have just been relieved that you were you are not in hospital too, because don't forget he's supposed to be Bethany's girlfriend, and he's having to go at Bethany's mum for not dying when his uncle brother was run over. They forgive him. It
was just like a minor moment of drama, wasn't it? There was probably an advert break somewhere between Daniel accusing her and then forgiving her mere scenes later.
Bethany's like, "Mum, you're still interested in Adam, aren't you?" And she says, "Look, I saw him lying there. I didn't know if he was dead or alive. It just made me realise that, nothing that we were fighting over really mattered, but I don't know what to say to him." So she goes to see him and she says she's very grateful for what he did. And she wants to put things right. Why don't we just hold off on the divorce at the moment? And he says, "We have to leave now. The car was meant for you." Was it meant for her or was it meant for him?
Well, I don't know. When I saw the accident happen, I was assuming it was meant for him. And when we saw Harvey phoning up random hitman or hitman's pimp or however it works.
Hitman's pimp.
Saying, "I want you to get somebody. I need them offed today." I assume that it was Adam. But it could be, that they were targeting the ones that he loves. Yeah, I mean, if he knew the situation and he knows that he's divorcing Sarah, then maybe that's not the best pick. But
well, anyway,
as long as he didn't go after Ken, because he'd be on my naughty list then.
I would be very concerned too if I was Adam when I thought that someone was trying to kill Sarah, because I'm surprised she hasn't killed herself with how stupid she is. He tells her everything and he says, "I just wanted Harvey to scare Damon off," and she's like, "This is terrible. I forgive Damon for trying to kill you, but I won't forgive you for trying to kill Damon." Basically, like, she's more mad at Adam for what he's just told her than she ever was at Damon for literally holding him at gunpoint and holding a gun to his head.
I know.
And she gaslighting Adam and saying, "Oh no." She's awful.
I was quite enjoying the Sarah and Adam reunion up to this point as well. I mean, I'm not exactly the biggest fan of the couple, but I really don't want Sarah to stay with Damon, and I thought that this might be an opportunity for her to leave him. But all of that building up of goodwill between them during the episode was just so she could have this revelation at the end and then shatter all our hopes and dreams.
Well, on Wednesday, Nick comes in to see Sarah and Damon. And she's terrified again outside, and she's mad about what Adam's got up to. What is she's mad about Adam? Why isn't she mad about Damon? Because they're both as bad as each other, aren't they? She's such a
Damon's turned over idiot. A new leaf, Gov.
I remember we used to watch, we used to have a computer game when I was really little. When I was the early days of PCs, we had a computer game, and it was some kind of gangster game, and there was a gangster's mole in it, one of the characters. And I always used to think, why would anybody hang around with these idiot criminals when you could get killed or terrible things could happen to you? Sarah would just love it, wouldn't she? She'd just love the drama and the attention and getting to wear nice dresses and having a scary boyfriend. That seems to be all she cares about. God, letting the side down. On International Women's Day of all days, I have to sit here and talk about somebody who's letting the side down. Mind you, it takes all types, doesn't it? And all women are equally valid and beautiful in their own way. So Nick says, let's report him. Who?
Just him.
One of them to the police. Let's report Adam to the police.
Yeah.
And Damon says, that would be too easy. I mean, that would make things worse. Don't worry, I'll sort it out. I'll make it more complicated. Daniel comes to collect Adam from the hospital, but he's still mad at him about being involved with Harvey, not telling Ken about it. And Adam says, look, let me sort it out. This episode is just full of people going, I'll sort it out. I won't do the obvious thing. I will fix it in a convoluted and damaging way. And he says, Daniel, Sarah and Bethany are safe. Why does he say that?
Why shouldn't he?
Because he just told them, you're not safe. Get out of Weatherfield.
He realised that it made Sarah a bit mad. Maybe shouldn't have said that.
Damon calls Harvey and he's like, you! How could you? And Harvey tells him, do this job and Bethany and Sarah will be safe. And Damon thinks he's bluffing, and Harvey says, I'm not, because I killed Natasha. I'm glad no one's recording this, because this is why I don't use the prison phones. I use my own phone, because then I can safely admit to murders. Also, hope you're not recording me, because that would be awkward. But luckily, you're too stupid to.
I forgot what I was going to say.
He says you've got 24 hours to decide whether you're going to do it, and Damon says, fine, I will do it.
I was going to say, this job that Harvey wants Damon to do is a good job. There's no time constraint on it.
He says he's got 24 hours 24 hours to decide.
Yeah, not 24 hours to do it, but he's been asking him to do this thing for at least a month now. Whatever job it is on the outside that he wants him to do.
Do you think it's fixing a fence? Because if he's really good at it, we could use him around here. I've got 24 hours to fix my fence, so I'm going to...
It's like Challenge Annika.
Yes, Challenge Annika would be great at this, wouldn't she? You can't blackmail her, because you just do it.
Do you think they could have had an After Dark series of Challenge Annika where it's you got 24 hours, you've got a hit out on somebody, can you do it?
24 hours
you crash a helicopter
to
into
smuggle
them.
£100,000 worth of cocaine across the border. She's like, yeah, no problem. And she's flagging down cartel members going, hello, gentlemen. Could we trouble you for a lift, please?
I don't think that the majority of our audience are getting the reference, but I don't care. Well done if you do.
Go on YouTube.
You're a similar age to
and
us.
Put in Challenge Annika and you prepared to be amazed. That woman held this country together single-handedly.
Early 90s.
Right, so Damon's... Right, I'll do whatever this job is. Meanwhile, Adam's been discharged and he goes to the cafe with somebody else.
Daniel.
And somebody, a friend of his. New friend, new character, no. Just in time, Nick comes in and has a sarky go at him, including... Oh, it's Ken there. Including revealing in front of Ken that Adam's been working on Harvey's appeal.
And Ken didn't say what.
I know.
That was
Peter's
prime
gone.
opportunity for Ken to have given a good old what. We haven't heard him what.
I know.
For
Do you think it's only
at least
Peter
a year.
who does it too?
Maybe.
Sarah comes home later and Damon says it's over with Harvey. I've been on the phone. I convinced him to back off. Adam accosts Damon in the street and he's like, what's going on now? And Damon says, don't worry, I've sorted this mess out. You never mind how I did it.
Oh.
Friday. Alia she's psychic, like Deanna Troi is psychic on Star Trek. She's like, I'm sensing tension between you two, Dee Dee and Adam. Whatever it is, you need to sort it out. I would not have someone talk to me like this. The way Alia talks to these two people, they're her bosses. I know they're all like chummy matey and stuff, but there's a line that she crosses so often. Like, sort it out. Like, I'll be mad at somebody if I want to be. I pay your wages. But also, I wouldn't be as unprofessional, obviously, as Adam and Dee Dee. Also, wouldn't be shagging about in the office like everybody else does either.
This episode was basically, for this story at least, just Dee Dee deciding, oh, you're not so bad after all. I'm going to move into number 3. I'm going to move out the flat. And then she has a bit of an epiphany, doesn't she?
She asks, Adam says, can you give me a second chance? And she says, only if I can be a partner in the business.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. What does this mean? What, so he's trading 50% of the stake in his business to be friends with Dee Dee? What is he, 12?
I think that they were at stalemate, weren't they? With the whole, she knows about this, he knows about the insider trading. But
well, then it's,
I would have thought. I'm a bit disappointed in Dee Dee that she's okay, that she wants to better herself and she wants to own a business or whatever, but she knows that he's dodgy and now she is involved. She owns a stake in a company that she knows is using underhand tactics and illegal methods to get results.
I mean, I don't know what being
That's
a partner...
not a Christian thing to do, Dee Dee.
I don't know what being a partner in the business means. Does it actually mean that she's got a proper monetary stake in it, or is he just doing Bailey and Barlow?
Yeah, I don't know. On a business card.
On a business card.
Anyway,
Bailey and Barlow sounds like a pet shop brand that does bow ties for dogs.
Do you reckon?
Do you not think so?
I wouldn't have said that. So, is this Harvey's chances of early release scuppered now? Because up until this point, I was thinking, well, yeah, clearly he's gonna get let out. His appeal's gonna work. He's gonna go on the rampage. He's gonna get killed off in a dramatic climax, maybe in the rain. But now I'm thinking, how on earth can he get out? This appeal can't happen. I know that he's still got plenty of strings that he can pull from within. But yeah, I don't know whether we're actually going to see him out now. What do you?
Do you think he's? Do you think Damon's job is somehow involving him being released or getting him?
But I don't know how it could be.
Do you think he might just chance escaping from prison?
He's already done it though.
I
would have thought there might be some kind of heightened security.
Maybe he's got a better plan than just standing on the side of a prison van in the rain and hoping not to get caught.
I don't know.
Has anyone in this country ever, like in recent memory, escaped from prison and just never gone back? Does that ever happen here?
I don't know. I'm not the person to ask that one.
I'm leaving a silence for people to tell me. They're not answering me back.
So anyway, I don't know what's going to happen with this now. I'm desperately hoping that this is coming to some kind of conclusion soon. I've not been that invested in it as we've gone on. There were bits that I actually, Monday's episode I did quite like, even though the stunt wasn't the most thrilling thing I've ever seen on the programme. When Adam decided, when it was revealed through the phone call with Harvey that he's decided to pull out of the appeal, that surprised me. I was not expecting that. I didn't see it coming. I thought that he was going to go along right to the very end. So yeah, I thought that added a little bit of an interesting twist there. But as the week went on, it was just lots of people getting narked at each other. Daniels has just got a permanent scowl on his face at the moment for one reason or another. If it's not Bethany, it's Daisy. If it's not Daisy, it's Adam. He's got to be mad about something. Yeah, I've not floating my boat necessarily. You?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
I'm just looking at prison escapes.
You're just seeing whether we've had any recently. You look into that.
Obviously Ronnie Biggs escaped, and he got away for a long time.
Mm.
But I don't think it happens anymore.
In general, we've actually got a prison system that keeps the prisoners locked up.
It's because we're so nice to them.
Right. Let's move on. That story just trundles along.
What did you guys think? Tell us what you thought. Did you were you excited by it? Do you find stunt things exciting even if you aren't
Can you suggest any stunts that Corrie is just missing a trick on?
Yeah, like, could it be... I mean, I'll tell you what the best stunt I remember was when Kevin was running and he fell over. That was, like, the best stunt because it was an accident.
Yeah.
And it was like, oh, he might have hurt himself doing that.
So they should have just had an actual car driving at Sam Robinson and just caught him off guard. Might have looked a bit more realistic.
Throw him in the canal or something.
I don't know.
I just don't know what to say. I really don't know what to say. And I don't think that Coronation Street... It obviously doesn't affect anything, does it? We just sit and moan about it. We don't stop watching it. They get what they want out of it because they get, you know, a mention in the magazines and the publicity and stuff. And people go, oh, did you hear about that? Somebody got run over in Coronation Street the other day. And maybe somebody hears that and goes, oh, that sounds interesting. Maybe I will like to watch that. But when you're watching it, though, it feels so cynically... It's just silly, isn't it? It's just like another... Are you...
Well, that's why I think that if Harvey had been a proper gangster and hired someone with a gun, it could have been a bit more high stakes.
But people complain about guns in Corrie. I mean, we've done it before. Like, it doesn't feel like the right sort of thing for Coronation Street to have guns in it.
So could they have managed to have got the same result they did without Adam being hurt at all?
No, I know, exactly. Because the only other way is goons in an alley, and we've had plenty of goons in alleys.
Could he have just had a death threat that he received, like, watch your backs?
Maybe somebody could have put, tried to burn the lawyer's office down by putting fire.
Maybe, or made it clearer who they were going after. Does Sarah's flat get
firebombed?
Graffiti,
or like send like powder or something. That's a good old fashioned thing to do, isn't it? Send somebody powder in the post, make them think that they're going to die of anthrax.
So the bullying story.
Bring back old traditions, I say.
Bullying story still doing exceedingly well online. This is just getting so much praise from all corners, isn't it?
How do I find this on TikTok?
I don't know. I still haven't learned how TikTok works, but everybody seemed to be enjoying this story. The quality of the acting is getting lauded left, right, and centre. I agree. I think that Samia Longchambeau, sorry, I still haven't learned that after all these years, is doing a fantastic job. So many people are saying, you know, it's a case of I forget she's acting. It just feels so natural. I agree. Maria Samia is absolutely fab in this. I'm enjoying Charlie Renshaw. I'm thinking great job. He's the scene in today's episode where he's having a stare off with Dylan for that advert break. He is doing fantastically at looking. He's just like weak and terrified and.
What are you saying?
Charlie Renshaw.
I laughed because I'm going through. Apparently, the phrase to type is Coronation Liam, and I'm just scrolling through, and it's I'm sorry, but he's so hot.
What? That's what they're saying on TikTok.
He's actually so cute, though. Hot. Well, I mean, it's not what I'm getting out of this story.
No, I think that he's doing a good job of looking like somebody who has been just hounded.
He looks like he's been pushed to, like, the edge, which he has, obviously.
Yeah. I'm personally still not as invested in this story as everybody else seems to be. And I think some of the emotional scenes aren't hitting me in quite the same way. And I don't know why. Maybe it's just me. But I'm very glad that other people are enjoying it. And I think that the bits with Sean have been more effective for me. But, no, it's, fairly good stuff. So let's have a reminder about what happened this week. So starts off the week with Maria knocking desperately on the bathroom door and Liam's not responding. I mean, come on, Maria. 16-year-old boy in the bathroom.
You fed him give
him some privacy.
Fed him a massive roast dinner the day before.
No, that's not what I'm thinking of.
Well, we've got different ideas, don't we?
Anyway, he comes out eventually, and she's talking to Gary about how difficult this is. We can't keep this up forever, can we? I mean, by the end of the week, by Friday, Gary and Maria were both at the pub, possibly with no idea where Liam is. At the start of the week, she's all eyes on him.
This constant vigilance is really bad for everybody, isn't it? Because she's like completely on high alert the entire time, scared if she turns her face away for a second, her son is going to die.
Yeah,
and he's obviously starting to feel like, Well, I don't know, they haven't really explored this, but there's going to come a point where he's not going to be able to cope with this attention, because that's going to add to his stress.
Yeah, I think so, definitely. Overprotection from parents can certainly...
Well, yeah, I mean, I wouldn't say... I don't know, it's not overprotection, is it? What the hell do you do?
No, you're exactly. Anyway, I enjoy... one way that you can overprotect your child is by launching yourself at their bully, which was the scene that we got in the cafe later. I'm still loving every time Mason comes in and he tries to act all sweet and he's like, "Hello, Mrs. Connor," and Maria, launches herself at him, and Gary has to pull her off, and he's just smirking because he knows that he's hit a nerve there. Then we get the school scene where Mrs. Crawshaw is still not quite doing what Maria wants to sort out this situation. They've introduced a whole new slew of anti-bullying measures, Mrs. Crawshaw says, including an anti-bullying app. And I don't know what that looks like.
What have they done?
The school have launched an anti-bullying app.
The school launched an app.
That's what she said.
The school's launched an app.
Or, I don't know, is there already an anti-bullying app and your school's just sort of got to sign up for it? What would an anti-bullying app look like? Is it like... Are you being bullied? Yes, no.
No, it's like, it has two things. It says, "Are you being bullied?" And it says, "Are you going to bully?" And if you click, "Are you going to bully?" it says, "Don't know." And if you say, "I'm being bullied," it says, "Tell a teacher."
I did feel bad for Crawshaw in a way, because...
Bish bash bosh.
You know, what's felt like an eternity to Maria, probably, that the school hasn't done anything... It has been, a matter of weeks. For the sounds of it, the school have been trying to do lots to try and combat it, but there's only so much that you can do in some circumstances.
Damn it. They're like, we had some money, we've got a load of money, we're a school.
Yeah, schools are rolling in it at the moment.
We've got so much cash, we were going to hire some teachers, but we thought, sod it, we're going to develop an anti-bullying app. But it only works on Samsungs, and now all the iPhone kids are bullying the Samsung kids. I don't know what to do about it. I think I've made it worse.
So Maria is in there kind of telling Crawshaw, no, this isn't... She just wants Mason expelled, basically.
It does feel a bit like the school should have a policy, which they obviously would do in real life, that they would follow, because they have to have procedures that they follow, and part of it is because obviously they don't want to... They don't want kids to be bullied. I think some people think that schools like it or something.
They have got an anti-bullying policy. And Crawshaw is saying Liam needs to finger Mason. And there's literally, we can't do anything unless... But
that's what I mean. So they can't do anything beyond that. And the other reason that the policy exists is because, that, cynically speaking, they can point at it and say, we followed the procedures set out here, so we couldn't have done anything more than we did. Yeah.
But anyway, Liam is meanwhile out in the corridor looking very nervous as he watches Mason loom over some other poor unfortunate oik by the lockers. It did make me wonder, like...
Nobody else has got a problem with Mason?
No, I was thinking, what if Mason does actually go too far, or what if he bullies somebody and they do end up killing themselves, or maybe what if Mason beats somebody to a pulp and Liam is left feeling guilty because he didn't say anything about it.
Didn't that come up
possibly
with Jake saying,
yeah, possibly,
you won't feel guilty if that happens to somebody else, but then that's the same thing that people use on women to try to guilt trip them about reporting assaults and things. It's never the victim's fault if the perpetrator goes on to do something to somebody else.
Yeah, it's all very well with us saying, Liam, come on, you should have said something, why don't you just say something? But in real life, it's
I know, but when
not so easy as that.
I can't be... This must be a very normal thing, but when I look back on my childhood, there are so many times when I did things that are baffling to me now, but at the time made perfect sense in my tiny childhood brain. And this is why we protect children and look after them, because they're not capable of making these decisions.
Not always.
Not always, no. They need to be protected, and this feels very frustrating to watch, because it feels obvious everybody what to do. But surely there's some evidence.
This is kind of possibly a flaw in this story, that he's been very flagrantly, and he's not been shy about it, is he? Surely somebody has seen something.
But okay, is there no leeway whatsoever for a school or a head teacher or whatever, deputy head, to use their discretion in deciding to exclude a student based on their suspicion? Is there no leeway there whatsoever? Do you have to have? I mean, when she says they need evidence, surely the evidence can't just be this kid said he did it, because that's not evidence, is it? They could have.
He just needs to have another member of staff tailing him. The problem is that there aren't any other members.
They
of
just
staff
need a really short, small one to go in and pretend to be a student.
Yeah, they could set up a trap for him.
Send Craig in.
Yeah, so send a massive nerd in. And
send Sam in.
Yeah,
he'll get bullied.
Anyway, so Maria goes back home, and she's decided now that Weddy High is no place for Liam because of their lax anti-bullying policies. So we're going to need to go and find somewhere else for him to go to. Oak Hill doesn't get a mention, but she's found 2 other schools that look rather rough. And Gary's like, I don't think this is the answer, to be honest. Maybe we just need to trust that Crawshaw knows what she's doing here.
No, she's a teacher. She doesn't know anything.
Well, do you think that moving Liam to another school would be a sensible option in this case?
Well, the main problems they had were, one of them was 2 bus rides away, and the other one was just as bad, if not worse, than Weatherfield High. And Gary's like, he's going to get bullied there, for sure. I don't know, what would you do if you were Maria? I think I would try to move him.
It's very understandable.
I don't think that it being 2 bus rides away is a massive problem, because I think they should probably drive him to school if that's the big issue about him getting there. I don't think Maria needs to be at the salon at the crack of dawn every day, does she? I think she could probably work.
I don't know. I hear all the old people get up early. They probably have to open the salon extra early, 6 o'clock every morning to get all the grannies.
Many parents have jobs that work around their child commitments, and this seems to me as though it really honestly cannot believe that Maria's job would not be flexible enough to let her drive Liam to school and back.
The thing is, though, at the end of the day, it shouldn't be down to the victim's family to be the one that are backtracking or whatever.
Backtracking?
Not backtracking, like getting out.
Being proactive.
Yeah, they shouldn't have their life and education. They were talking about the fact that he's got his GCSEs coming up.
I know. I agree.
It should be the school that do it, but I do think that the school are doing something. It's just that these things sometimes take time.
Well, the thing is about it, this is the trouble when you get specifics
when there's
like
no
this.
Evidence.
When you get specifics, when Coronation Street tells a story, it's really easy to pick holes in it and say, well, come on, it wouldn't happen like this, or Liam would blah, 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 and, Maria with this, and Nathan with that, and Miss Crawshaw, whatever. But this happens across the country on a daily basis, where a child is bullied and it feels as though there's not an obvious solution. So I don't really want to nitpick and get into the nitty-gritty about what specifically they could do, because the story's not about logistically how does Maria solve the problem of the fact that Liam's being bullied at school. The story's about Liam being bullied at school.
Well, they think that
they're how emotionally everybody copes with that. They
think that they're onto something later, because Liam mentions to Jake, who then snitches on him about the fact that this zombie knife exists that Mason used to threaten Liam back in the autumn.
And everyone who's not a scallywag immediately.
I did do a bit of a googling on zombie knives. Yeah, which what did I find out? It's got to be a blade that's got to be part serrated, and it's got to have words written on it, or they generally have words written on it inciting violence, and they're jolly sharp.
Watch out, bag face.
It's very current. Apparently, earlier this year, it was. I don't know whether it was they were made illegal to possess for any, because it used to be you were able to have one for particular reasons.
You're allowed to have one
if you got a jolly good reason for having a zombie knife.
Apocalypse, you're allowed to carry one, but only 100 meters.
But I think now they're completely banned. But I'd never heard of them before.
Yeah, it's got to be. I think the thing is, I was going to say, because I've got a knife that I have at my allotment, which is, what's it called, a Corrie. And it's kind of a zombie knife, except it doesn't have words of violence written on it. It doesn't have like die weeds die or anything on there. But it is just like a blade with a serrated edge.
You could do a lot of damage to that.
It's for making holes to put daffodils in.
Maybe that just needed to be brambles. That just needed to be Liam's defence. Like,
no, Mason. Liam.
Liam's the one who was caught with it. It's just like, sorry, Officer Tinker, I was just on my way to the allotment.
Educate yourself about the environment.
I love that how they called zombie knives anyway, because that's like a really cool name. It's like if you're
lame.
Yeah, but you're not a teenager.
No,
if you're a
teenage
bully, and you had something that was a zombie knife, you thought you'd be rocking a really awesome weapon there, wouldn't you?
Yeah, I think I would probably fancy myself as quite Jack the Lad.
The police just need to say, well, they're called pansy knives or something, and then
don't think.
I suppose that would be maybe that's what we call your allotment one.
Yes, it is.
It is for planting pansies.
It doesn't. I've looked up a zombie knife. It doesn't look like a zombie. It doesn't look like one of these. I just want everyone to not report me to the police, please.
Yeah, Gemma doesn't have an illegal weapon for her.
Sometimes
for
it's
pruning
called a soil. And my parents bought it for Christmas for me.
Yeah, another excuse that Liam could have used if only... Not Liam, Dylan could have used if only he'd thought of
Gemma's parents got me this.
Yeah. Anyway, so that's what a zombie knife is. But apparently there's amnesties going on, and if you do find out...
I'm not giving it up.
You can, If you realise you've got one, just hand it into the police and there'll be no legal repercussions.
I am really paranoid now. I've said this on air that I've got...
You got...
I'm going to make my mum carry it.
We're going to the allotment tomorrow. They're going to be lying in wait for us.
Yeah, my mum can keep it in her bag.
Well, Gemma's dad's got a chainsaw, and I say that's probably worse.
Yeah, that's true. The whole place is just rigged. There's chemicals, there's booby traps, there's cameras, there's knives, saws.
If it had been a chainsaw that Mason had used to attack Liam, is that okay?
Yeah.
And if Craig had searched Liam's bag on Wednesday and there'd just been a chainsaw in there, he's like, look, they're not illegal, so we're going to let you off with the slap wrist this time.
Let's not give these idiots any ideas, because knives didn't used to be illegal, did they? And then they had to start making all these very specific rules about what kind of a knife you're allowed and where. And
well, knife crime is going up, isn't it? I mean, it's the big thing in this country because...
I know, but it's actually... I mean, it's terrible, but... For example...
Don't ask Alia about that one.
Oh, yeah. I mean, to talk about, like, violence... It annoys me online because Americans will always say, if a British person says anything about gun crime in America, they will always go, oh, knife crime though. If you take the guns away, then they'll just use knives. But actually, knife crime, even without gun violence, is higher in America than it is here per capita anyway. So we're actually it's not as violent here, whether you take into account knives or not.
Do you think Harvey dabbles with zombie knives?
That doesn't mean it's okay though. Doesn't mean it's okay.
Harvey could have got somebody to have given Adam a bit of a stabbing, couldn't they?
I think they're just poser knives, aren't they? Really?
Poser knives.
They are though, because you don't need to write horrible things on something. It just makes you an idiot. Harvey wouldn't be seen dead with a zombie knife.
I suppose it's a bit like the vapes, isn't it? When they're all bright and colourful and attractive looking, and then you get these
like
day-glow green knives. Yeah.
Yeah. No, be a real man and have a proper normal knife.
Yeah, have a black-handled one.
Yeah.
We've also got like the world's sharpest knife in our kitchen, haven't we? Apparently, that one that my mum recommended.
Yeah.
Gemma swears by it.
I do, yeah. I write words on it like, slice these tomatoes.
Anyway. So, enough knife talk. I think
we've shown our ignorance about almost everything to do with
and
this
dropped
topic.
ourselves in it with our collection of weapons. So,
I've got a folding knife that I use to cut up tomatoes when we go camping. Better not tell anyone about that either.
Anyway, Liam. No, Jake gets talking to Maria, doesn't he, on the beginning of Wednesday's episode, and they're worrying about this knife, and so they march off down the police station to have it out with Craig for not taking things further the other week when Mason was seen with the knife, and they say, well, Liam was threatened and he's just too nervous to come and give evidence, but Craig says, look, if he comes in, tells us about this, then finally we'll be able to do something.
This just seems really frustratingly stupid.
So they go and get him. Liam's looking mega nervous as he arrives at the police station. And we don't get to see a whole lot of the interview, I think, if any of it, I don't remember. But the next move is Craig showing up at number 11 to search the house for Mason's hidden zombie knife. And they were also apparently searching Mason's house at the same time, but as we know, they don't have the set or the location shoot budget or whatever reason it is for actually being able to show that. They could have just reused the puppy farmhouse, couldn't they? Enough time has passed that I believe that was Mason's house.
This is crazy, though, to me. I understand they've got a really good reason for saying these are illegal, but it just seems really crazy to me that you can have something in your house.
What do you mean?
That you get arrested for that was okay, like, the year before.
What, like a big XL dog? What are they called?
Bully XL dog.
Yeah.
But, like, and really, if the definition of a zombie knife is a serrated edge and a sharp edge and words written on it, that just seems really arbitrary. Like, what are they going to go through? And there's like, this zombie knife doesn't have anything nasty written on it. It's only got affirmations about how beautiful the person is. So we can leave that as fine.
Anyway, so...
Because I only just heard about this. Like, not that I would ever have a reason for buying anything like this, obviously. But I didn't even know anything about this until Coronation Street did a story about it. What if I had one in my house and they would arrest me, would they? They would do, wouldn't they?
Yes, but you're not allowed to have one.
Yeah, I know, but I get my mind boggled by... I think it's because it's the writing on it that's doing my head in. I can understand, like, you're not allowed a gun. Guns are banned. I mean, well, they're not really, but you have to have a very good reason. You have to have a licence and you have to put them in a box, etc. But the idea that you can take something and then write something on it and then that's illegal...
I don't know. I think we're focusing
I'm probably
too much
belabouring that
on the
point
writing
slightly
side
too
of
much
it. But I'm just telling you what Wikipedia said about it. Anyway, so they're having a search around number 11 later, trying to find this knife, and Eileen's telling Dylan they better not find anything here, honestly. So Mason meets with Dylan in the Ginnel later because they've not found anything at either of their houses, and Mason's like, you dogged me in, and Dylan's like, no, I didn't, it must have been Liam. Anyway, don't worry, I put the knife in next door's yard so it's safe. They didn't find it, and we do find out on Friday that it was Fizz and Tyrone's house that they were putting it in.
Brilliant.
Not the other side. Deb's not going to find a knife.
If Hope had found that knife, someone would have died.
I know. Somebody should have said that. You do know who lives next door.
Yep. I mean, an ex-drug addict, a balmy old woman who probably would kill somebody if she thought she could get away with it.
Yeah, and an arsonist.
And, I mean, the ex-wife of a serial killer. And... Tyrone, he's probably done something.
Anyway, Mason says, look, let's meet up in the precinct later on. Half an hour by the charity shop. We'll get rid of this knife together. So poor old Dylan falls for the trick. Ends up at the precinct. No Mason. No hide, no hair of him. Along comes Craig Tinker to do a search of him. And he finds the knife.
And I just got to say that Dylan's rucksack very much had Adam's top drawer vibes.
Yeah.
There's nothing
one thing
in here apart from this one item.
So Craig's got the knife. He's putting it in a special knife tube.
Yeah, it's a knife tube. It's like one of those things in a bank where you shoot the money up through a hole.
And then they take him off to the car. At the police station, Dylan's saying to Sean, who's also turned up now, that I promise the knife's not mine, it's Mason's. He set me up to be arrested for it and all. I
would just be mad. If I was Sean, I'd be mad here at how easy my kid was outsmarted.
Did I not teach you better? So Dee Dee turns up. She's the solicitor. Where's Joel at the moment?
He's
looking after Lauren,
frantically trying to throw out all of his zombie knives.
So she's going to take on this case, and Liam tells her about what happened with the knife, and she says, well, it's whatever happened, whether it's Mason's who gave it to you or whether it's yours, you had a bladed weapon in public, so it doesn't really matter why you had it there for. And what did you have it? Why did you even do it? He says, I'm scared of him. I had to make sure I did everything that he told me to do. And Dee Dee says, right, you've got to tell the police all of this and the fact that you're only acting out of fear. So Maria, meanwhile, is with Liam telling her about Dylan being arrested. And she says, look, I'm not going to go at you or anything, but why didn't you tell me about Mason threatening you? Why didn't you tell me about the knife? He's like, oh, I don't know. I've told her everything now, I promise. So Maria's like, we just got to be open with each other. So Dylan's told at the police station he's allowed to go home. It's been referred to the CPS. He's not been charged yet, though. So the police must believe him, Sean thinks. Oh, no. So back home, Eileen is still very much peed at Dylan. Did you have a knife in this house? And Sean says, no, it was in the ginnel. It was fine. But he knows that it was in the house for a little bit, and if Eileen finds out what it was there, then they're both going to be for the high jump. It's almost like he saw the synopsis of the next episode, because that's exactly what happens. And also we get to see Dylan finding out that the CPS are actually going to charge him after all. So court drama ahoy for Dylan. Friday, what do we have here? We start off with George. George has been kind of relatively absent this week, hasn't he? As somebody who seemed to be having a bit of a stake in the story a couple of weeks ago, especially siding against Liam on Dylan, on Liam's side. But
he kind of did he not? Who was it he spoke to on the steps? I thought it was Dylan.
I can't remember. Oh no, I thought that was Liam. I'm losing track of it. I don't know.
Did he not ever speak to Dylan about this though? I thought he kind of gave him a bit of a like.
You might have done.
I'm not. I want you to understand how serious this is. But he's probably thinking at this point, like, I was I liked to play when I was bullied when I was a kid, but nobody had a bloody zombie knife. This is like a magnitude more serious than, the psychological damage that George went through. It is obviously horrific, but the physical threat element doesn't seem to have been there like it has been.
Not in exactly the same way, no.
No.
Anyway, they go to the police station, they come back, he's been charged, and he's got to appear in youth court in 2 weeks, which makes me wonder, is this story going to go on hiatus for 2 weeks, or is there still enough fuel in the tank to keep it putting along until we get to that side? I don't know. The big question is he going to plead guilty or innocent? And Sean's like, no, not guilty. Sean's like, no way are you going to plead guilty to this. Mason's the one that made you do that. I mean,
what is he? But what?
This is going to be a criminal record. Though?
Because he had a knife on him. He can't say it wasn't. He didn't have a knife on him because he did.
Yeah, I don't know whether Sean doesn't get that, or whether he's just filled with incandescent rage about the fact that his poor son's been fingered and the actual bully here is still walking around cock of the walk scot-free. Yeah,
I mean, you're not allowed to have it. So you either had it or you didn't have it, and I don't see how you can argue you didn't have it when a policeman found it in your bag.
I quite enjoyed the scene later on where Liam and Dylan are by the bins. Bit of a Stephen flashback there, and Dylan's. See, I do.
If only Dylan had just chucked it in the bin.
Yeah, I know. You said that when we were watching. Why go all the way? Go to the trouble of going to the precinct to throw it in the bin there when they could have just done it literally in the ginnel.
Didn't he go through the ginnel? I was like, put it in a bin. Nobody looks in the bin. Well, Coronation Street they do.
Oh, that's reminded me. You've been trying to get me to look through the bins, haven't you?
Yeah,
I accidentally threw something away the other day that I shouldn't have done, and I need to go bin routing. So
you're just leaving it for as long as you can, so that it's nice and juicy when you try to fish it out.
I do feel somewhat sympathetic towards Dylan here. He was, he could have said no. He could have stood up to Mason, but I don't think that would have been a very easy option, and he generally does seem to have remorse for it now. Liam says, it's just because you've been caught, but I don't think it is. Dylan's been feeling like this all the way through. They certainly like to show him having regretful looks. So do you have any sympathy for him, or do you think he deserves everything that's coming to him?
I'd struggle one way or another, because I think it's very easy to be kind of put into a position where you think it's me or you. So I'm going to bully you because I don't want to be the victim. And anyone who says that's not something that you would have to think about, at the very least, is, I think, kidding themselves.
Yeah.
It's the knife thing, though, isn't it?
The killing themselves gets brought up, doesn't it? Liam says to Dylan, it was so bad that I was looking up suicide online, and that's what really sticks with Dylan and makes him decide to take the next step, which is I'm going to plead guilty when this comes to court.
But this bothered me because the knife, him having a knife, was not connected in any way to what he did to make Liam want to kill himself.
No, but it is in his head. It's not technically, but it's all bundled up in the same issue. And I think we're at a stage now where Dylan's thinking, I need to be punished for this.
But it's silly.
And if this is one way that I'm going to do it, then fair play.
Well.
Yeah, because this is what he's saying to Sean later, isn't it? Like, I deserve to get my share of the punishment. I'm going to plead guilty.
And the other thing that annoys me about this is that I don't think that Dylan realises that he's implying by his reaction that everything he did is okay to a certain extent, as long as Liam didn't think about killing himself.
Oh yeah, you were saying that to me earlier.
It really annoyed me because I'm like, it was bad no matter what happened. It's not. You should feel bad about doing it in the first place. Not just because of what he's just told you, because somebody else would have a different reaction. It doesn't mean you're allowed to bully people. You're allowed to bully people if they are not going to... If they don't mind. Well, not that they don't mind. Not that they would go to that length. No, come on. Let's not say like that way.
What else did we have happening? Oh, Sean accidentally revealing to Eileen later that the knife was under the roof, just to give a little bit of fuel for the end of episode cliffhanger there. It wasn't.
Oh, was this Wednesday or Friday?
No, we're on to Friday now. We're into today.
Yeah, I know, but you said end of episode cliff. Oh, for today.
Yeah, it's set up the cliffhanger for today. Yeah. We also had Mason and Dylan in Victoria Gardens later, and that's what Gary spies because he happens to be walking through. Mason's telling Dylan, "Oh, thanks very much for not dobbing me in." Although it turns out that he did, and I think possibly this is going to be some kind of crucial bit of evidence, or some not evidence for this, but the whole thing about him nearly running Eliza over.
We got reminded of this because I think people might have forgotten.
Yeah. So I don't know. Anyway, Gary sees them and he speaks to Sean later and
not
says,
me, I never forget anything.
Clearly, your son isn't that terrified of Mason because I just saw them having a lovely chat earlier.
God damn.
And we also had that scene with. I really enjoyed the scene with Sean and Dee Dee in the flat where he's saying I'm such a terrible dad and he's not told Violet about this. Whatever is she going to think about me and Dylan if she finds the truth out, which is she's going to bound to do. And yeah, I just feel like that
he's being a crap parent if he hasn't even told Violet. And also, here's my question: has he told Dylan not to tell Violet, or does Dylan never speak to his mum?
I don't know whether Dylan would want to talk to her about it. He'd probably be a little ashamed.
Yeah, but how is she not picking up on any vibes or anything? That to the extent that Sean cannot tell Violet is a really crucial thing that's going on. Oh, okay. I know that kids can hide things really easily, but it just seems like a massive oversight.
Yeah, maybe the weekly Zoom with her isn't happening quite at the moment.
Just seems like... well, I mean, I know why he brought that up, but it's not logical.
That's kind of it for the episode. There's a few little mini scenes. The big cliffhanger at the end of the episode is Eileen summoning Sean into the lounge with George and telling him, look, because you had a knife under this roof, you didn't tell me about it. You're out on your ear, sling your hook. I can't have you living here anymore. Which I don't know. Did it feel like an overreaction?
Yeah.
It's sometimes so difficult to separate. Me thinking, is this over the top from? Oh, I know that they just did it for a cliffhanger. The drama. Yeah, like if imagine there was no cliffhanger here. Has Eileen gone over the top? Has she gone overboard? Is she overreacting with this?
I don't know because I've never had a teenage boy live in my house.
I mean, this has been Sean's house on and off for a fairly long time now, isn't it? And because of one very stupid mistake that his son, still a teenage son though, has made, she's now deciding that he's not welcome there anymore. Sean's already going through the ringer and he's upset with the way this has turned out. And I think that it's just, to me, comes a bit kicking him when he's down. And up until this point, I've been quite supportive of Eileen not taking any of Liam's excuses when Sean... Dylan's excuses when Sean is quite happy to, and he wants to forgive his son. But yeah, I don't know.
Do you think she just doesn't like Dylan?
People get thrown out of their houses at a drop of a hat in this programme. And we know that it's not going to be for keeps, is it? I mean, we've just seen that Lauren's flat has become available, and I guess that's going to be a bit of a crime scene investigation going on there next week. But after there, it's going to be completely free.
Not going to be much to investigate, though, is there?
Not a whole lot.
It's really hard to say. I think given the history that Eileen's got with Sean and Dylan, and the fact that he has his story, I don't think there's any reason to disbelieve his story, even though he admittedly lied about it being in their house at one point. It would make me say, I don't think this is likely to happen again. I'm unhappy that you did it, but I'm not worried that it will happen again. So
yeah, I think he has learned his lesson here.
I think it's obvious he has, and I think that what's the benefit then of kicking him out? I mean, if you want to punish him, that's a really good way of doing it. But if you're concerned about your safety, I think you're overreacting, because I don't think that you're in danger.
I'd have quite liked to have seen maybe just a talky scene with Eileen and George, or a little bit more of that, with them kind of mulling over.
I tell you what would have made more sense, if Tyrone had found out that they put the knife in his garden and gone round there and said, I want this kid out of the street.
Yeah.
And then Eileen could have said, I mean, I can't... That never got brought up. It's not, to me...
It did briefly. She said, that you were going to put this next door where the girls are playing.
I know, but... Oh, right, okay, it did get brought up. But to me, that's worse. Hiding it in someone's garden with little children is worse than it have been in my house. And I can't remember what the circumstances of it being in the house was.
Well, Mason brought it there, and didn't he have it hidden under the bed or something for a bit? I can't remember.
Yeah.
But... yeah.
I would have been more cross about that, because that shows that shows a lack of judgment and like a bit more
I wonder whether
awareness of how criminal it was.
I wonder whether maybe George will let Sean stay in his house, because he has
No.
He has shown a bit of sympathy to the whole situation, but I don't think Eileen would be really up for that idea if she found out.
Who's living there now?
I don't remember. Does Glenda live there? I can't remember.
Yeah.
But anyway, like I said on the Street Talk
think?
Sean is very adept at living out on the street. So
that'll be fine.
Just until it blows over, he'll go to some of the old stomping grounds and meet up with some of his homeless mates, maybe.
Do you think she was overreacting to kick them out?
Me? Yeah, I think so. I think that it was kind of done as a big ultimatum with not a whole lot of discussion gone into it.
Was it the Adam car crash of Friday's episode?
What?
Like, this is going to be really serious and have long consequences, and it probably won't, and it's not that big of a deal.
No, he'll be back there within a month or two.
And it kind of happened without much thought being put into it. Because honestly, okay, even if I don't know if I would forgive Eileen if I was Sean and she kicked me out.
Do you reckon?
Well, like she's saying, oh, your son's awful, and he had a knife, and I'm scared, so I'm kicking you out of the house. When I'm at my lowest point and I'm struggling to be able to deal with this, and I'm genuinely believe my son when he is sorry and he wouldn't do it again, and I know it was another kid that was influencing him, and I'm trying to separate them, and then she kicks me out. She's supposed to be my best friend, and then I don't know what will happen later on, but oh, sorry, Sean. I don't know. I'd be that happy about forgiving her very quickly, because he doesn't have a lot of money. He's obviously living there because he doesn't have enough money to live somewhere else.
Yeah.
I mean, well, not really. He's living there because he has to live on the street because it's Coronation Street. But
I think he's feeling very weak and vulnerable, and I think that
he's going to lose his moral support system because they're not going to be there to sort of help him.
I think but he's feeling bad about himself as a dad as well. I think that there might be an element of Sean thinking that he maybe deserves it as well, and it's his punishment for being so blinkered to Dylan's now evident bullying. I think he'll be ready to go crawling back and accept her forgiveness.
I think he's been suitably
or off of his forgiveness.
Crestfallen is not the word, but you know what I mean. Like, he's prostrated himself at every available opportunity to everybody involved in this. I don't see what he could have done differently.
No.
And after a certain amount of time of crawling on your belly, and people are still kicking you in the face, you're going to stand up and say, I'm not doing this anymore because it's not getting me anywhere.
I suppose with Eileen's overreaction as well, you have to consider she is turfing a 16-year-old kid out on the street. If it was just Sean, you'd think, well, you know, he'll find somewhere, it's fine. But she is now making a child homeless. Yeah. And I know he was a bullied child, but still. Yeah,
I know. That's what I mean. Well, I mean, maybe it would have made sense if she had said something like, you can go and live with your mum again.
Yeah. Okay, next story. Bolton Wanderer.
Bolton Wanderer. This is the one that makes everyone love Bobby more. So on Wednesday, he's putting up missing posters for Lauren. It's like he's the only one who cares about it. It's quite funny. Because he's like, God, I'm a new character. She's a new character. If I disappeared, I'd want someone else to look for me.
He just wants another chance to get back into her pants again.
I can't see this as an innocent...
No, he's not as lechy as he once was. But I suppose it's just because there's nobody to latch over.
Suki from the Gazette turns up and she's with Bobby in the cafe and they're filming an appeal for Lauren. It does feel... The thing is about it is it just feels... I know we're supposed to be worried about Lauren, but it does feel like a massive misjudgment and overreaction on Bobby's... He's not a little boy, is he? He's not a teenager. He's a man.
Yeah.
He's not got any life experience or something? Like, he's not known anyone who's a bit of a scallywag in his day, because they do come and go.
Maybe he hasn't.
But
if somebody that I knew just disappeared like this, I'd probably also be a scallywag. I think I'd be worried as well.
Well,
if it was, he clearly cares about her.
It's not so much that; it's the fact he's filming an appeal, like he's the member of the family. And I've got to warn him here, as a true crime fan, it's always the one who does the appeal that's the one what done it. So Suki's obviously got nothing else to do, because a woman who's gone missing is a big deal, even though the only person who's missing there is a guy who kind of sat on a sofa with her once under a blanket. This is the point. This is what I mean. He doesn't really know her well enough to know if this is a serious deal or she's just playing silly buggers and run off.
Yeah.
Why is Suki taking him seriously? How long did you know the woman? How long? A month? Okay, well, I can't write a story in the Gazette about you knew someone for a month and now you don't know where they went. But apparently Suki wants to do this. She films an appeal. Maybe she does think he did it. And she's like, I'm going to get this. Get the scoop on this.
Well, you know, he's not the only person to appear in the video, is he? And I think the second person is definitely going to get a bit of suspicion. This is going to be evidence. Yeah. So she's filming it. This is the only reason they had this. So is there any reason why he would disappear? Any problems? And he's, I don't think so. And then Suki says, maybe I should ask Roy. And she does a manual zoom, walks across the cafe to like hold the camera in his face. It's not a camera, it's a phone. And he's like, I don't really know. He just kind of stumbles over his words a lot and makes himself look incredibly guilty.
Did he say about him sacking her?
I can't remember.
When does Bobby find out that she was fired? It was before, wasn't it? It's really not...
Roy just makes himself look very guilty just by being himself and not comfortable about ad-libbing on camera.
But at this point, though, it's a woman who's subletting an apartment, flat. She's not on the lease anywhere. She's not got a job anymore, and she doesn't really have any friends or relatives, and she's gone.
Yeah, no, I think it's still worrying. If I was Bobby,
I think Bobby needs some other friends. Evelyn comes and tells Roy that she's had to give up Lauren's the flat that Lauren was in because it was her flat and she was subletting it to her.
And that sets up Friday.
On Friday, Bobby's like... everything he did, I just hated. he says to Carla, I'm not coming into work today because I've got a lead about Lauren. I've got to go and investigate. And she says, no, you are going to work today. And he says, well, I'm sorry, but if I can't stand by and allow a woman to die like you can. Maybe you could live with yourself, but I couldn't.
And Carla just rolls over, doesn't she?
She's enabling him.
That's
and
not what the old Carla would have done.
He's so entitled. So in the factory, Sally says, oh, someone saw Bobby out and about, but you said he was ill. Do you not think that you're kind of being made a mockery of here? Because you are, actually.
Yeah.
And then Carla's a cowy cow and tells her to mind her own business and, like, calls Fizz into the office to try to distract everybody. Then Evelyn tells Roy that the flat's been left in a terrible state and she's going to have to... and the leaseholder's told her that she's got to pay for cleaners. And Roy says, well, I'll do it. I'll clean it for you.
I can have a cleaning montage, says Roy.
Cleaning montage.
Let's talk about that. What was that all about? But in theory, I didn't mind the idea of a cleaning montage, but the way that they did it, and it was the build-up to it as well, wasn't it? You see him arrive at the flat, and me and you were like, is this a different film stock?
What are they using to film this?
It looked like really jerky and janky. And then they got to the montage scene, and it was still jumpy and janky, just to music, and I don't get it whatsoever.
It looked like it was filmed either a different film stock or the speed was different.
Yeah, it was
weird.
It felt sometimes I understand the reasons what they're going for with some of these editorial choices. I get why there was a zoom here, but I don't understand this whatsoever. Why pick this scene and turn it into this?
I think it was... I don't think they did it on purpose. I don't think they used a different camera on purpose.
What do you mean?
I just can't see the reason behind it, so it must have been...
No, they must have done, because they've used the normal camera and the normal films for stock for everything else.
Someone explain this to us. Someone explain it.
It really, really, really didn't work for us.
Right. And we don't get our attention drawn to this, but we see in several shots there's a big red stain on the floor. And it looks like it could be blood.
No, it's the biro.
I mean, it wouldn't be that colour at this point, would it? It would be more of a horrible brown colour.
It was good. No, I think it was a bit browny.
Well, it could be blood then.
Mm-hmm.
And he's also found a condom wrapper.
I did enjoy David Nielsen's performance when he picks that up and he kind of looks at it and does a bit of a jump, doesn't he, when he realises what it is. And oh my gosh, pop it in the bin. That was quite fun.
He's in the middle of doing that when Bobby shows up and he's like, what are you doing in here? How could you... Well, you can't go through her stuff. It's private. How does he know? How does he know what Lauren thought of Roy?
Bobby's just jealous because he doesn't get a chance to have a root around Lauren's knicker drawer.
He's really presumptuous, this boy, about everything to do with Lauren. He thinks he knows her because he sat under a blanket with her.
Mm.
Roy says, I was just trying to help. And he doesn't explain either. This annoyed me, but I can see why they did it. He doesn't say at any point, Evelyn asked me to do this and she's the one who owns the flat.
No.
So go and take it up with her and leave me alone.
I hope that comes up on Monday because it does seem like the obvious thing that Roy neglected to say.
Bobby's like, oh, well, I don't believe you. Why would you be doing it? I'm really suspicious. So he goes back to the cafe.
No, it's
I was going to say, it wasn't a cafe. He goes to the factory and he's like, oi, that weird man who runs the cafe has been clearing up Lauren's flat. I think he's behind her disappearance. And literally, everyone in the factory is like, shut up. You don't know what you're talking about. You don't know Roy.
We don't badmouth Roy down these parts.
I mean, imagine trying to tell Carla and Fizz that Roy's a wrong'un.
Mm.
He's completely out of his depth here. And it annoys me because this is what annoys me about this. He's right here, isn't he? He's right. Because Lauren is missing. She has gone somewhere. It is suspicious. Roy is up to doing something that you would do if you were responsible for her disappearing. So
it just feels like there's going to be able to be explained out or fairly easily.
I don't want anybody to have to go grovelling to bloody Bobby about, oh, I'm so sorry I doubted you about Lauren and Roy. Mm. That's what I'm worried about. Mm. And the fact that everybody in the factory was sticking up for him, was cathartic, but you know that they're all going to turn as soon as Roy gets in trouble about this, if he does.
Yeah, if he gets arrested and carted into a...
They'll be like, oh, I knew he
into a
was wrong.
cell himself.
And Bobby be like, I told everybody that he was evil.
Yeah, I imagine that Beth would be the ringleader for that.
Probably, yeah.
Who do you think out of the factory lot would stick by him? Because
What,
normally
Roy?
I would say Carla, but then she also wants to not let her nephew down.
She seems weirdly attached to this horrible grub.
Well, given that naff bunch of flowers at the end of the episode seem to do the job.
Probably Fizz, because they're setting her up to be opposed to the factory lot, aren't they?
Yeah.
So maybe there'll be sides taken. But anyway, Carla kicks him out. Why doesn't she fire him? Yeah. I don't know. This kid is a plague. A pox on our house.
Mm.
Bobby there tells Max, and this whole thing is so frustrating to me because I thought Max was supposed to be rehabilitated. Coronation Street wants us to like Lauren, and they also want us to like Bobby, but nobody really is that fussed on Lauren, I'm afraid, and most people are ambivalent at Bobby at best. So having Bobby investigate the great crime of where's Lauren gone with Max, who's a white supremacist. Really is not the rehabilitation that anybody wanted from any of these characters in 2024.
Now, Max is... He brings up Daniel briefly, doesn't he? So, because of him being a weirdo and hanging around Lauren, according to Max.
Has an axe to grind with Daniel, obviously, because he pushed him down the stairs.
Yeah.
He doesn't bring that up, though. That would be... I wouldn't ever stop telling everybody about that. If somebody pushed me down the stairs, I'd bring it up all the time. Then they decide to check her Ovid's account, and Bobby finds it suspiciously quickly. As though it was just there in one of his tabs.
In his favourites, yeah.
And they're like, oh, you can't tell from this what who her subscribers were. And then Max goes, oh, actually, that reminds me. She used to have an Ovid's account that she opened before she was 18, and Ryan got it shut down, so we should investigate that account.
I can't remember whether they find anything there in the end.
Well, no, because Bobby goes to see Ryan and asks him about this account. And he says, I'm sure she's fine. She probably doesn't want everybody to find out about this. You should just make up with Carla and leave this alone. So Bobby takes Carla some flowers and apologises to her and says, I'm just having trouble admitting that Lauren might not come back. The other thing that annoyed me about this was at one point this line when one of the two of these idiots says, do you think we should tell the police about Lauren's Ovid account? And I think it's Bobby says, oh no, she wouldn't like that.
Police are very busy with everything else going on at the moment.
But if you're trying, this is the stupid thing. If you're trying to give credibility to your cockamamie story that this girl's actually been kidnapped, which she obviously has, wouldn't you say that she's got an account and she's a sex worker? Because that immediately raises her risk group, doesn't it? She's in a risky category if she's doing this kind of stuff, and she had a weird boyfriend. They're not telling the police any information they actually need to know to make it seem as though Lauren's in danger.
There's still going to be time next week.
I want to kick Bobby up the bum.
I was wondering about that little statue of Lauren's that Roy was getting his grubby fingerprints all over the other week, and I thought, well, this is going to be something that ties him to being in the factory, in the flat. Sorry,
but he didn't need it in the end anyway. Well, he's now everything.
Yeah, I mean, he did have. Didn't he have gloves on today?
He didn't have gloves on when he held the condom wrapper.
Oh yeah, that's a good point.
Got his fingerprints on that.
Yeah.
Whoopsie doodle.
Okay. I'm sure that they are definitely setting up plenty of evidence that Roy's going to have to be confronted with it at some point, and he will tell the truth, but it's not going to be enough for the time being anyway. He'll get away with it in the end, because he's not get away with it.
I also need Bobby to understand that being weird's not a criminal offence, and if it was, he'd be in prison.
Well, we're just going to have to wait and see. I'm still waiting for this story to properly get off the ground, you know? It's like the beginnings of something. Roy's clearly going to be fingered for this crime. I'm so torn between I want to know where Lauren is and who's kidnapped her or whatever it is that happened, and also not caring. I don't know whether I've ever felt so completely irreconcilable emotions towards a story. Do I just want to know so it's over? Am I really hoping it's going to be something amazing and they go, yes, man, brilliant?
Who would have thought
or
this
am I
happened?
nervous that if it comes out and it's nobody exciting, then it's...
Nothing that interesting happened.
This thing about her mystery man has been teased for 6 months or so now, it feels like. Well, maybe it's not quite that long. Maybe it's more like 3 or 4, but... I don't know whoever it can be, whether it's going to live up to the expectations that we've put on it, but I hope it's not going to be too much longer until we find out.
I mean, you guys know I love a mystery. I like a whodunit. And so I'm still in, they've got they hooked me with this one, tiny little bit. I'm swimming about trying to resist, but they couldn't have picked worse characters to do it with.
Well, and also, whoever did done it, the only person that we think is likely to be, that we know of, is Joel. And anyone else is just speculation about returning characters. There's nothing, as far as I know, to go on that we can say, oh, but maybe it was this, maybe it was that. We've got nothing. We can only speculate out of thin air.
The cryptic comment that somebody gave us is actually the only thing that's really intriguing me about this, because I do feel as though I know what's going on, but now that's thrown me off a bit. Because we were basically saying, Lauren's been captured by someone boring, let's be frank. It's either going to be Joel or...
I don't think that Nathan would be boring.
Yeah, but it is though, because it's like, Nathan, we guess Nathan. That's my perspective. I want to be genuinely shocked. I want to be like, what? I can't believe it. So really, genuinely, the most shocking thing that could happen was Roy actually did kill her.
Yeah.
And she is actually dead. Now, did that happen? I don't know. And are we going to spoil things? That's the other thing I don't want to do, is to spoil things by talking about them.
Yeah, part of the...
Without knowing...
When a mystery is built up for too long, you can make it worse for yourself by theorising to high heaven, and then it turns out that it's for nothing. And it's... Because
how many times have we been on a forum, or I've been on a forum and of a show that I'm interested in, there's a mystery involved in it, and I read someone's theory, and it turns out that's actually what happened in the end. So... for that reason, I don't want to speculate too much about it, but equally I do want to speculate about it. But at the same time, I think it's sad that this character, if Lauren... this is the sad bit about it. If Lauren ended up dead, that would be more exciting. I wouldn't be sad about it. I would be like, okay, that justified her inclusion on the show. I'm actually glad that she was in the show, but now she's dead, because that's quite exciting. If she turns out to be alive... I'm not going to be that bothered. Yeah. Which is not a nice thing to say about a character.
The problem with the mystery is that there's no more clues to who it could be now than there were 3 months ago.
But like I said before, we got to be careful about turning Corrie into a murder mystery or a crime drama, because it's not going for that. But equally, it needs to stop tackling those stories if it's not... because it can only ever be compared to a crime drama or a murder mystery by doing these stories, but it never wants to fully commit itself to doing those stories properly, because you always end up with things that don't really make sense and stuff that doesn't go anywhere, and they're not really red herrings, they're just drop stories or things that don't make sense if you think about them, which would never happen in a wouldn't very often happen in a murder mystery, because it's tightly plotted, because that's all it's doing. It's just telling the story of a crime, whereas Coronation Street is telling the story of everything all at once.
Right, let's move on. Let's do the Fizz story. Hurrah, Fizz is back. Jenna McAlpine back off her maternity after little Doris was the recent baby, I think, of Jenna McAlpine. Anyway, we
gossip.
We got the preview last week that Evelyn and Cassie were starting to prepare for her return, so I was very much pleased to see her walking through the door on Monday's episode, right into the middle of an argument with between Cassie and Evelyn, which I wasn't... There's been various facets to this return story. One of them has been Evelyn and Cassie have been at loggerheads, and another one has been Fizz feeling like she's not needed by her children anymore. And also the third one, that she doesn't feel like she fits the role as Knicker Stitcher anymore.
She got grandeur, ideas of grandeur. What's it called?
Yeah. It's above a station. That's what Carla thinks.
We're both tired of this for some reason.
No, all the stuff with Evelyn and Cassie just felt somewhat contrived to me. Like, oh, she's coming back into the middle of drama. Oh, who's going to have to move out? And there's an awful lot of Monday and Wednesday's episode where I thought it was kind of amusing, I suppose, that they were falling over themselves to help out, and they had the argument on, was it Wednesday's episode about whether Cassie's gonna make, who was it? One of them was making Chinese and one of them was making what was the other one? Oh, gnocchi, yeah.
No,
I like a bit of gnocchi.
No.
But
don't make me gnocchi and tomato sauce. It's boring.
But
I can do that myself.
But I mean, this is very much a C story, I suppose. But that part of it just ends up with Fizz and Tyrone announcing to the pair that they actually can both stay. So
where
to me, it felt like a bit of a something or nothing, and it's just ended up that they're going to stick with the status quo, which is nice because I like the whole family together dynamic. But
Cassie, you're going to have to sleep outside in the knife cupboard.
I don't enjoy seeing Evelyn and Cassie arguing all the time. Oh yeah, what if they'd have done that? if Dylan had stored the zombie knife in there and she'd have got a bit of a prick in the middle of the night.
Oh dear.
So there was that bit of the story, which is meh. But I am enjoying the new kind of business Fizz. And,
business Fizz.
It's
Fizzness, we call her.
Fizzness, yes. She's there with her smart suits, and was it Friday's episode today where somebody remarks that she's dressed up to the nines, and she's like, well, and fair play to her. She seemed led to believe that she's been single-handedly supervising, or has she been managing? I can't remember what it's been. This factory in Norfolk for the best part of 9 months now.
10 months.
So yeah, she probably
would
feel a bit peed off if she has to come back to Weatherfield and then just go back to sewing gussets again.
Well, she's come in, she's got all these ideas, and Carla doesn't really want to talk about them because Carla hates, honestly, for all that she complains about when business doesn't go well, she doesn't really like sharing the top dog position. She doesn't like Sarah coming up with ideas. She didn't like Stephen coming up with ideas. She just doesn't like other people being good at business. It's like she thinks she's the only one who can do anything, but she just constantly lurches
only one
from
mogul allowed on the street at one
disaster to another.
Well, I really appreciate this. Just the general overall character development of Fizz.
Well, you just like Fizz, don't you?
I really like Fizz. And the fact that she came in as this massive scallywag teenager when she was 15.
She got
also accusing Roy. Wasn't she? That was her first storyline. She came in and said Roy was a perv and was touching her up or something. And over the years, we've seen her go from, fun little teenager to knicker stitcher to mum to and now she's aspiring entrepreneur. I'm all for a little bit of business on the street. I think I'm right in saying, I'm sorry, I'm just, rather than doing this story chronologically, I'm just going all over the place, but am I right in saying that we didn't actually hear what any of her ideas were that she was sharing with Carla? But Carla thought they were great.
That's probably because Coronation Street is sick and tired of us picking holes in all their business ideas. They're like, we come up with a really great idea, nipper snapper, and they would spend the whole year crapping all over it.
Maybe they've got a brilliant idea for renovating, re-energising businesses themselves, and they don't want to give it away on the programme because somebody else might steal it. Alan Sugar's going to be watching it and go, oh, blah, I never thought of that.
Well, maybe one of her ideas is, instead of just having nobody work at the machines, we should get people to stitch knickers again.
Sew at the machines again. I don't know. But poor Fizz gets her aspirations of a business get poo-pooed by Beth at first, and then Carla's like, yeah, thanks very much, but I'm not going to go for them.
No, she likes the ideas. She just doesn't...
No, I'm not going to go for the idea. Sorry, you taking on a managerial position here.
She says we don't have a position for that, and it's like, well, can I not have Uncle Stephen's job because he's dead?
Carla's always giving jobs to people when there doesn't appear to be a job around.
Carla
says, Simon, you want to come and work at the factory? No, Bobby, come and work at the factory. Nina, maybe.
Carla says, I'm sorry, Fizz, but you're not related to me enough for me to give you a promotion.
Yeah, just look at her hair colour.
You've either got
there is no shared DNA here whatsoever.
And also the alternative is shag your way to the top. but I'm not in the market.
Fizz and Tyrone get chatting in the pub later, don't they? And Fizz is saying that maybe I need to move on, or maybe Tyrone suggests that, I don't know. Do you think it's time for Fizz to move on from the factory?
To do what though?
That's exactly.
She's not going to, is she? Because there's nowhere else for her to go.
She could, she could take a unit on in the precinct. She could.
I know, but hang on.
They haven't got money to buy a new business. I mean, what's going on with Trim Up North? Has that been sold, or is it empty at the moment? I think I would quite like to see Fizz move on from the factory and try something else, but that would make the factory not even worse. And we're at a stage in the moment where, although the Rovers team were brilliant, the factory girls do not make that compelling a group. And maybe for me, Fizz would be better in there. But yeah, no, I'd like to see a stretch her business muscles a little bit. I don't know, but you're right. I think that she probably won't at the end of the day.
We don't need another business. We don't need another business on Coronation Street, because it's just a way of separating people into more annoying sets.
One thing that if she does get a promotion at the factory, it could be quite funny to see Sally's reaction to that, because I do not think that Sally would enjoy seeing Fizz leapfrogging her, but then equally, because she's such a brown noser, she'd be calling her Mrs. Dobbs, wouldn't she?
She would, yeah. Or
just to try and get a bit of...
I think she'd needle her a bit. She'd be like, oh, Mrs. Stape, or is it Mrs. Dobbs, or is it Mrs. Stape Dobbs?
They made another...
Or did you drop the serial killer name?
They still reused the old, which Mrs. Barlow are you talking about, joke in the factory today, didn't they? Which is... definitely runs down at this point.
Fizz could say, well, Sally, at least I got the Stape surname.
Yeah, Sally was after that, wasn't she? And so we also had, as part of this storyline this week, Fizz's feeling, I think it was maybe just even today's episode, that she isn't really needed as much as she kind of wanted to be. She looked
on, at home.
Yeah.
She looked on Twitter when you put that nice tweet out about, or you put the funny tweet out about her not recognising...
the new Ruby.
Ruby, because she's had her head sorts and she went away. She wouldn't recognise the daughter. And then we had a few people going, but she's not her real daughter. She's not really her daughter. We know that. And then we had this really nice monologue where Fizz was read a nice story by Ruby about how much she loves her being her mum. And, the same people on Twitter a bit quiet about the fact that she's not her real daughter.
I very much appreciated that. At first I thought, that's quite nice that Evelyn and Ruby are letting Fizz film it because she wanted to be involved. But then when she actually opened her mouth and it was about Fizz,
yeah,
it was so sweet. And Fizz's reaction was like, oh, he's talking about me. So, no major story here unless this is the beginning of Fizz setting herself up as a new business. But maybe she and Toya could do something together, I don't know whether they still are mates, but I'm not sure.
Honestly, I think they need... I would really, really like them to do some kind of manufacturing, like creative manufacturing thing, like making soaps or making candles or...
don't go in Sinead's terrain there, Gemma. I don't know what Fizz is good at apart from stitching knickers.
And streamlining processes.
She did have that storyline once where it turned out she was an excellent masseuse. Do you remember? The Fizz Fingers storyline?
Yeah, because then... Yeah, that's right. Then she could give people massages and Toya could be like, how do you feel?
Yeah. I don't know. Good luck for you, Fizz. But yeah, so I think I can't help but compare to the last few times that Jenny McAlpine's come back on her maternity leave. And the first time she came into that mule face story where there was counterfeit T-shirts and...
I quite like that story in hindsight. It was so stupid.
It was a little bit silly.
We hated that name.
Gangsters and
they turned... Who was it? Luke had a bit of a lobotomy for that story too.
Yeah. And I think the last time that she came back it led very quickly into the Jade storyline, which was fun.
So what will happen here?
Yeah. I don't know. Right.
Is it her? Did she kill Lauren?
Papa Dom's story, Gemma.
Was it Dom that killed Lauren?
So when last we saw Stu and Dom and Eliza, and I'm really just going from memory here, Dom had gone off to Germany because Stu had found out through his private detective woman that he's got a secret family there.
Yeah. He gave him 10 grand.
Gave him 10 grand
And he
to
said, don't make
say
the
how
same
he's insane.
mistakes. He was kind of guilt-tripping Dom into trying again with his family in Germany.
Yeah. But I think also Eliza found out about it somehow. I don't remember where. She must have done, because she started off Wednesday's episode this week still with a massive cob on, and I guess we're just led to believe that she's been in a snit with Stu for the last 2 months, because the story's not been on rotation.
And they've blissfully spared us.
Yeah.
Which I'm grateful for.
Honestly, I said it earlier, but it just felt like you were watching a different programme. It feels so disconnected from everything else going on in the street.
I know. You could take these characters out of the show completely and you just save, 10 minutes?
Yeah.
And nobody would even know that they weren't there anymore.
Yeah. I do love Yasmin, but there's just nothing inspiring about this story.
What did we watch the other day? Was it one of the leap year episodes we watched and she was in it? I was like, oh bloody hell, look at Yasmin.
Yeah, 2016 Yasmin.
She's great.
She was fun, she was vibrant.
I know. Really, honestly, I mean, if you wanted to show how badly somebody can be affected by coercive control, you're doing a really great job with Yasmin, because she's unfortunately a different person now. But I don't know how. I mean, it's not helpful to people who are victims of this, is it? To think you'll be forever kind of. But
I don't think that her current personality is to do with that.
Okay, so Yasmin tells Stu that she thinks she's seen Dom at the precinct.
Yeah, well, she happens to be at the precinct when Dom happens to be there.
And he can't believe it.
That is the precinct of coincidental encounters.
Why wouldn't he have gotten in touch? And on Friday he does get in touch. And he gives him the £10,000 back.
Yeah.
And he says...
He seems to have had a bit of a change of heart, doesn't he?
He says, look, Liza's clearly better off with you and Yasmin. And then Stu talks to him about this and says, look, I'm really sorry if I made you think you're a bad dad. Eliza loves you. She misses you. She needs you in her life. And Dom doesn't believe him. But he says, I need to focus on my son. And Eliza deserves better than me. Don't tell her I'm here. Here's the money.
So why is he
here?
What
the hell are you doing?
Did he say what he's doing back here? If Dom, he doesn't want Eliza to know that he's about, don't hang around the precinct.
Don't go to speed dial.
No, exactly.
Also, look up, get your phone out, Dom, look this up, Google bank transfer.
Yeah. I don't know. But I'm assuming that we're going to have a whole week's worth of this story now. So
what do you think's going to happen? Or can't you muster the
Well, I
interest?
don't expect that he's going to be whisking Eliza away to Germany.
Do you think it's a ruse? Do you think he's like... it doesn't make sense he's come all the way from Germany to say you were right all along.
But it could literally just be one of those times where... there wasn't proper full closure to this story.
I don't need
Stu's still £10,000 out of pocket, so this is just a way of him getting the money back, so people don't say, oh, but what about blah blah blah.
No, yeah, but we say that anyway. You can't stop us. They know that now.
I think Eliza's probably going to find out that he's there, and then she's not going to be happy with Stu.
I think that Coronation Street's rightfully wary of bothering to listen to half of what we say, which I think is probably correct.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Don't listen to a word we say. We're not serious people, you know we're not. I just had a massive discussion about how I think it's philosophically incorrect to say zombie knives are illegal because it's just a bit of words written down. But then again, that's brought to you by the country that had the government that got rid of the word ninja in Ninja Turtles and replaced it with hero to try to reduce violent crime amongst children.
Yeah, well, if they were Teenage Mutant Zombie Turtles, that would have
get rid of them.
All-out ban.
Yeah.
So the Stephen Tim story, like I said earlier, I really appreciated just for the silly sideness of it. And there's, I've always been fickle. You never know what I'm going to enjoy. But this couple of scenes where Steve... He starts off with the boxes full of green county memorabilia all over the table.
Appreciated the props department.
Yeah, they did a good job with that.
Hoofing out all the county memorabilia they've probably got in the whole place.
I've given up on Steve actually showing any genuine emotion or regret or remorse or anything about his split up with Tracy. But like I think I said on Twitter on Monday, it does speak volumes, the fact that he showed himself to be a whole lot more cut up with having to drop County than he was with dropping Tracy after finding out about the affair.
I wonder whether this is a victim of the fact that there are so many affairs and split storylines going on that Corrie wanted to do something a bit different with Steve and Tracy, and they thought, we got a good opportunity here to do something a bit more comedic because Steve is a funny character and...
Wouldn't it be funny if his idol was knocking off his wife?
It would be funny. It would be better if it was serious, because we actually, in theory, should care more about Steve and Tracy because they're both massively legacy characters. And I mean, Adam and Sarah kind of arguably are, but don't have the history that Steve and Tracy do. So to throw that story away for some laughs felt like a missed opportunity, but it gave us these scenes on Monday, so
yeah,
swings and roundabouts. I
thought it was quite funny that I can't remember whether the teams actually got name checks. I know that for Ken first says, well, there are, I believe, 2 other football teams that play around these parts.
I think they do.
And Steve, didn't he sing in a song at one point?
We're not football people. Can't remember if he said City or United.
Yeah.
Can't remember what he sang, if it's a real football song of either of those
I think it is.
teams.
Back in the day, more Coronation Street characters actually liked one of these teams. It feels like now it's blanket, everybody supports Wethy County. Yeah. But like, I think, was it Curly? I think he was a City fan. Like, it felt a lot more...
Feels more real.
More real.
But...
And it's not just people loving this fake team.
I guess they shy away from it because it gets contentious. I mean, it really doesn't matter, does it? It's football.
Yeah.
But also, I don't know if there's like an issue about bringing disrepute on one of these football teams by insinuating that their fans might be
a bit like Steve.
A bit like Curly.
Yeah, there was also the scene we had in the pub later where Tommy comes in and Steve announces to everybody who'll listen, "Oh, we're not Wethy County fans anymore. It's official." And Tommy's like, "What? You can't just switch allegiances like that." And Steve's like,
"You wouldn't dare." He's like, "You wouldn't." And he seems actually more affronted by this, and that's the joke, isn't it? Mm. They take this far more seriously.
And then they had the whole side thing of Tim not really wanting to give up County, and like, he hasn't said it exactly, that's what he's going to do because he wouldn't dare do it. But I just thought it was, funny.
Is there going to be a scene where they both secretly try to sneak to a Wethy County match and catch each other out, like they're both cheating on each other?
Yeah, probably is.
If there isn't, they need to put it in, because that would be quite funny.
They might as well just run with this as a comedy story now. They've lost the chance.
Yeah.
The train for let's make this a serious breakup story has long since passed the station. So, yeah, more of the sort of stuff that we got on Monday.
But what does Tracy get?
And was she even in it on Monday? I can't even remember now.
I thought Tommy had left as well.
Oh yeah, we thought he was going off to Spain, wasn't he?
Because you did that interview.
Did with Matt Milburn last week and thought I was...
He'd gone by the time the interview came out, and I thought he's gone now for good. But he turned up again, but who knows when he's going to Spain, or if he does go to Spain. Right.
Maybe the punchline in this will be Steve ends up deciding to support, I don't know, Man United, and then Tommy gets drafted into Man United. I mean,
why not?
He is County's top goal scorer, so I'm sure that insert manager at Man United here would be buying his hand off to have the Tommy Orpington on their team.
Why not? Why not? It makes about as much sense to me as anything else that happens in football.
Yeah.
Ryan's story. On Monday, it's Jenny's birthday.
Sorry, happy birthday, Gemma. Jenny. I told you I'm tired.
But she's mad. And then she's knocked about the Ryan stuff.
Yeah,
and then
the fact that Daisy is going out with Ryan.
He meets... Is this Friday or Wednesday?
This is Monday. This is the beginning of the week.
Okay, you've written Monday twice. That's what's throwing me off.
Where? Oh, yeah.
Ryan meets Bobby in the factory, who's looking for Lauren. I don't know if he thinks she might have fallen in a hamper, same as old Jed Stone did that time. Ryan asks Carla if he's got any factory work going, And she says no, and he says, what, not even for a Connor? And she's like, oh no.
I suppose, yeah, maybe that's why Fizz couldn't get the job. If there's not
yeah,
even
it's
a
not a job
position
for
there with
Ryan.
Connor,
It's
yeah.
no job for you. So he tells her he's back with Daisy, and she is not impressed. So Carla marches into the pub and demands that Daisy tell her what she's playing at. And Daisy stands her ground, and she says, this is my business, not yours. And Carla leaves, and Daisy's getting snitty with Jenny, and Jenny says, honestly, whatever, if this is what you want, I'll support you. Then Daisy goes to see Ryan and asks him to come to the Rovers, and he thinks it could be a bit awkward, but then she brings him to the pub and tells Jenny that he's now hired, and she has to deal with it.
Oh yeah, I forgot about that. I forgot that he got his job.
You didn't actually write that down anywhere.
No, well remembered. I like Ryan behind the bar, so I
think he's
support
cool.
that
Yeah,
decision.
I mean, are we going to have more scenes of people glancing at his
no,
burns?
I think we're over that now. I noticed. Did you see people online last week saying that the scar makeup seems to be toned down a little bit?
I
now.
thought that was a good.
But I
thought it was obvious that they did that.
Only a little bit.
He's obviously he didn't go to Glasgow. He went to like a secret scar.
They can't get rid of it completely.
Scar spa.
Can't get rid of it completely because that would be
unfair.
To actual acid attack victims. Yeah. Well, whatever with that. We're not particularly into that story, but I thought on the whole there was a fair bit to like on this week's Corrie. There was some not so great stuff. The stunt wasn't the best. Lots of strong stuff in the bullying storylines.
Yeah, the bullying
performances
storylines
all around were very good, but it's still not completely gripping me as much as I want it to.
I will say that it's good from the perspective that there are a lot of different. There are a lot of characters who don't agree with one another, and you can see almost all of their perspectives. Yeah, they've got good reasons. Like, I see why Eileen kicked Sean out, even though I don't think she should have done. I can see why Dylan took the knife to the precinct, even though I think it's a stupid idea. I can see why Liam doesn't trust Dylan. I can see why Sean's grovelling to Gary and why Gary wants to punch Mason, why Mrs. Crawshaw doesn't know what to do apart from buying out.
I say that this week didn't have quite enough Mason in. Every time that he turns up, like, oh, what's he going to do now? But there was that scene when he goes to the... we didn't mention it. He turns up at number 11 at one point today, doesn't he? Like, can Dylan come out to play and he gets sent away with a flea in his ear?
He's such a dick. He's so good at... Luca Tollan's so good at playing this really reprehensible... Like... there's something really... fun about characters who are gleefully villainous, and that's what I would say he is.
Yeah.
Obviously don't condone what he does, but you can't say he doesn't play that character very well.
He's very slimy.
Yeah.
Okay, so what are we scoring this week then?
I mean,
it's a real tricky one, and the character of the week. I mean, I'm erring towards maybe Sean for a character of the week, but maybe that's just because I feel sorry for him. Maria has been great as well.
Well, I can tell you what I think.
Go on.
I'm going to give this week 3 Roy's fingerprints on a condom wrapper.
Oh my gosh, disgusting. 2 forefingers and a thumb.
And it's a nice pinch movement.
Yeah.
And I'm going to make the character of the week Roy because I think it's kind of fun to watch him blithely marching towards his doom.
I think it was a bit of a 3. Last week I gave 3 and this week feels like it's been a bit better, but I think that's a fairly average Corrie score. I think giving it a 3, I think it shows there were some good bits, there were some bits I didn't get on with. I enjoyed Mondays more than you did though, and I enjoyed Fridays more than you did. So I think I'll go for 3.5, but a low 3.5 if such a thing exists. I'm going to give it 3.5 grannies come lately out of 5. Character of the week. Can I give it to Fizz just because she's back and I'm happy to see it? Yeah, why not?
The businesswoman returns.
Exactly. So there we go. Fizz character of the week. And 3.5 out of 5 for me.